There's a secret your mind doesn't want you to know. It's been lying to you beautifully, convincingly for years. And the worst part, it's doing it to keep you safe.
And that's the trap. The mind creates stories or maps of the world, as we've spoken about before, that, can make us feel in control. But control isn't clarity. In fact, the more control we try to have, the more distortion we end up creating.
Ancient wisdom said it this way: the world is an illusion, but the illusion is sacred. You see, the illusion isn't the enemy, it's training ground for you. Every lie your mind tells you is an invitation to see beyond it.
Exactly. So I work with people who've built, multi-million dollar companies or elite level careers, yet their biggest limitation isn't outside them, it's what's in their head.
Hmm.
Their perception is filtered through old beliefs, childhood programming, and unprocessed emotion.
So the modern mind is like a mirror, covered in dust. Every thought is a smudge, every fear another fingerprint. And the more we try to fix the reflection, the dirtier it gets.
And that's why you can't just positive think your way out of some cognitive distortion. The brain's job isn't truth, it's survival. Really important point. And survival loves familiarity. It will defend your comfort zone even if it kills your dreams.
Spot on, because our physicality has been around for hundreds of thousands of years, right?
Yeah.
Yet this kind of thinking that we do now is very recent, actually. It's just maybe 10,000 years, right? So the software is so different from the hardware nowadays. And that is the great paradox of awakening.
Hmm.
The very mind that built your success is the one limiting your evolution. How ironic. It whispers you already know who you are. But wisdom begins when you admit, I don't.
So, in this episode, we're not just going to tell you your mind lies, we're going to show you how it lies and how to wake up.
So stay with us because we're about to explore what could change and how you see yourself forever.
So, welcome to the Mindset channel where ancient wisdom meets the modern mindset. So, here's where it begins. Your brain filters out reality through three processes: deletion, distortion, and generalization. We spoke about this in our map versus the territory episode. It deletes what it can't handle. It distorts what it doesn't like. And it generalizes just simply to make sense of the chaos. That means your entire experience of reality is actually a mental collage, if you like. It's a highlight reel stitched together from fragments of truth that are constantly influenced by the experiences of the past.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. And the reason that the older the memory, the harder it is to put together, because that's what the mind does. It puts it together. It doesn't file it somewhere, it puts it together, right? So the older the memory, the more it's more faint because it's harder to put together the details, right?
Mm.
However, in ancient terms, that collage was called Maya, the illusion of form, the grand deception of separateness. And yet, illusion isn't evil. Ah, it's not even bad. It's just part of you. It's the veil we must pierce through to see the essence. In other words, the illusion is the shadow of truth.
That's it. That's right. Think of it like this. Your mind is a lawyer. not a scientist. It doesn't care about truth. It cares about winning the argument that keeps you safe. No offense, lawyers.
That's what to say.
sad but
Sad
true.
but true. That's it.
Sad but true. So look, so if your story is I'm not enough, your mind will find evidence to prove it for you. And every win in that courtroom strengthens the illusion.
The ego becomes the prosecutor of possibility. Every time you try to grow, it presents its case. Remember the time you failed? Remember what they said about you? Remember how it felt? It's almost like a form of nostalgia that it's not working out, right? And we believe the evidence because, hey, it's a memory, right? And also because it's familiar.
Exactly. And that prime, again, back to that point you made earlier, the prime function, our prime function as human beings is to survive. And that survival instinct craves familiarity.
Hmm.
But here's the hack. The brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and memory. So if you visualize your new reality with enough emotion and repetition, your subconscious begins to believe it's true. That's not pseudo spirituality. That's neuroplasticity. And anyone that's worked with me will have heard me talk about the dangers of what I call what if thinking. What if this happens? What if that happens? It's the enemy of progress. And the
Yeah.
problem with what if thinking is that your brain cannot tell the difference between whatever you're focusing on in that whatever you're visualizing is just a thought or if it's something that's actually happening right this moment.
Yeah, um I found that the evidence on that one, that point of view is true. When my little niece and my daughters, and my nephews and the kids that I saw as a baby grow up, they were telling us stories when they were 2 years old. One cannot remember when they were 2 years old.
Yeah, right.
There's a massive reset after 3 years old,
Mm.
right? And how do they know what they were doing at 1 year old or 2 years old, right? They found their photos and the stories they were told. So they were imagining the stories they were told of what happened.
It's
And the
exactly right. And
mm,
combining with the visual in their mind from photos.
yes, correct. Now it becomes a memory. Oh, this is what I did. It's like, hang on, you were 2 years old. You know, how you can't possibly remember that because
Mm.
there's a reset. There's a full-on reset after that. There's a reset at just before I think 1 year old, and it happened again at 3 years old, right? And this is what's beautiful about this one. So the mystic of the ancient, they have a mystic vision quest, and the neuroscientists' brain scan are really describing the same phenomenon, the rewriting of inner reality.
Exactly. Exactly. And you can do it every day. Every time you question a belief like, I can't change, I always fail, I'm not enough, you interrupt the neural pattern. That's tactical neurolinguistics, pattern interruption, reframing, and future pacing. Let me say those three again. Pattern interruption, reframing, future pacing.
Let me offer the ancient metaphor for that. Imagine a sword forged in fire. That fire is your discomfort. In alchemy, that's also known as negredo, the blackening. Yeah.
Yep,
When you challenge your own illusion, the mind screams. It actually burns. Like, no, no, it doesn't like it, right?
right.
But every burn purifies the blade.
And that's why you could say discomfort is sacred. Every time you face it consciously, you upgrade the system, you build resilience, not resistance.
I mean, it doesn't happen to us, but it happens to reptiles, right? And some crustaceans. They have to shed their skin. They have to shed their shell. That hurts, right? But in order for them to grow, they cannot be limited by that skin or that shell.
Mm.
And this descent, right, is the confrontation of illusion is what the mystics, the myth calls the underworld, right? It's where the hero loses everything, including his old identity. He shed his skin, but only there in the darkness does he find the real light.
Which is why when you feel lost or stuck or uncertain, that's not failure. That's the initiation. Your mind is simply recalibrating for the truth.
John, what's initiation, mate?
The initiation?
What's initiation? In case
Initiation's like like an initiation rite. So something you have to go through to become part of a group or to grow.
that's it. That's
Yeah.
when an example of that one, you just finish primary school or you graduated, right? And they hand you your diploma, right? Or you finally are allowed to wear a toga in university because you finish a degree. That's an initiation. And that's the beauty of initiation. You're putting on a new pair of clothes. Yeah. I mean, that's the effect of a uniform, right? A policeman or police officer is a normal man and normal woman, right? Until they put the uniform on. That's when they become a cop.
Mm.
The same thing with the snake. It must shed its own skin to grow. But shedding that skin feels like death, right? Humans will never ever find out how that feels, right? But
Thankfully.
thankfully, that's just weird ass F, right? If we do that. Anyway, but people, okay, we do this every single time, every time we progress, we let go of who we were. You've done this many times. You've done this. You're no longer a high schooler. You're no longer a kid. You're no longer that person. Yeah. It takes a lot of guts, a lot of courage to do it, but it works. And you can always move into something you want. And most people that don't shed, they literally stop there, right? You can tell. I've met a lot of middle-aged men that still behave that they're in high school. Yeah. They still
Yeah.
need to be cool. A 50-year-old cool guy is not a cool guy.
No, he's not.
It's not.
I can happily say I am not cool.
No. Yeah, no. And these guys that won't grow, they crawl back to the illusion that they were a football hero, that they were really cool in high school, that they were the most popular kid in high school. They crawl back to that, even in their 50s, 40s, 60s. It would be really sad if they're 70, they still think they're in high school.
Yeah. But if you breathe through it, if you stay aware instead of reactive, you realize the illusion isn't trying to destroy you. It's trying to wake you up. So let's make this practical. How do you break the illusion? Like, how do you see clearly in a world that essentially rewards blindness?
That statement, bro, is so crazy. A world that rewards blindness. All right. We begin by reclaiming observation, meditation, in journaling, in conversation. Don't believe your thoughts. Or let me rephrase that so it's actually true. Don't just believe your thoughts, witness them. I said just, right? Just your thoughts, because you got evidence everywhere. You need to witness your thoughts. Don't react to your emotion. Man, that's the hardest thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Mate, when you tell your missus relax, oh, boom.
Yeah. One of the things I teach in therapy all the
Yeah.
time is just that ability to pause
Yeah, nice.
just for a
Nice.
moment, that ability to pause when emotions are getting strong.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's very similar to, or that's a technique on how not to react on your emotions. But having said that, once you're paused and you've identified your emotions, study them because the mind cannot manipulate you when you're consciously observing.
Yeah. So awareness is essentially the antidote to illusion. And here's a tool you can use today. All right. This is called the 4 questions of clarity. Whenever you're overwhelmed, just pause yourself and ask, what am I feeling right now? What story am I telling about it? What truth am I avoiding? What action would integrity take? You do that, and the fog begins to clear.
Man, that's so beautiful. That's awesome. And if we layer that with the ancient wisdom, right? That's mindfulness in motion. Yeah, mindfulness is a modern term, but being mindful is ancient. You're
Mm.
separating self from the story. And that's how the monk becomes the master of the mind.
Exactly. Another key, emotional regulation.
Mm,
You can't see clearly through emotional turbulence.
yeah,
So when you feel overwhelmed, breathe. Your breath is the biggest bridge between illusion and awareness. It can ground you, bring you back to the moment.
that's right, guys. And if you notice what Jono said, you cannot see through emotion because you can only feel through emotion. So
That's it.
you need to see what's going on. So with emotions, right? You can separate yourself from that. Anyway, there's many techniques, but that one is a really good one, Jono. So,
Yeah.
all right, we love the Stoics, yeah, because Stoicism is practical philosophy. Yeah, the Stoics practice this through negative visualization. They would imagine the loss, not to suffer, but to make friends of it, to realize that nothing external can steal inner peace once clarity is mastered. And I just want to add to that one. It's almost normalizing that suffering. It's ridiculous, right? The have you heard of the Secret guys? You know, The Secret?
Oh, The Secret, the
Yeah,
book?
the book.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So they said don't think of negative thoughts because it will manifest.
Mm.
That's what it's almost the opposite of what the Stoics are saying. No, imagine it. Think of the worst possible scenario and then compare it to your situation.
Yeah.
It teaches you how to handle it.
It's interesting with the we spoke about The Secret before, right?
Mm,
Um, and the problem with that book is, yeah, it didn't. I get the concept of focusing on what's positive. I get that. But you can't ignore what's negative at the same time. You can't
that's it.
ignore difficulty and just pretend it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Um, the problem with that, The Secret, was that um, it got a lot of people sitting there focusing on positive things, but it doesn't talk enough about taking action to make them happen.
Yes.
And,
Spot on,
and
spot
that's
on.
where it falls over.
I think what you know what we talk about moving towards kind of strategies here.
Yeah,
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 we talk about that. I think that's on the essence of The Secret is think of good stuff that you want to go to. But the key word there is moving. That's an act, right?
yeah.
You need to act your way. When I say act, not like actor act, but you need to do actions. You need to move towards what you want.
Yeah. And looking at modern neuroscience backs up what you were speaking about a few moments ago. So when you visualize calmly, you activate the prefrontal cortex, that part responsible for rational decision making. And you deactivate the amygdala, which drives fear and distortion, essentially.
That's
And
why
that's how science meets
that's
spirituality.
it. That's it. That's it. Because if, I mean, next level to that one, write it down because you move the thoughts now to the prefrontal cortex. The amygdala cannot write. It
Right.
can't. It can't. Only the prefrontal cortex can. So seeing clearly isn't about being emotionless. It's very difficult to be emotionless. It's very difficult to think of nothing. It's about being emotionally intelligent. When you master your inner state, the outer world becomes transparent.
And that's real freedom, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not needing life to be different to feel at peace. Because the more you chase control, the more illusion you create. It's essentially about feeling at peace, regardless of what's going on in your life.
Yeah. I think last week or the week before we were talking about being enlightened. Remember?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I think I want to add to that one. Not only your light, and that's a plain word, right? An enlightened person is cool. Almost nothing bothers them.
yeah.
Yeah. And being cool, not, like I'm so cool, you're so lame. No, not that kind of cool, right? As in nothing disturbs them
Mm.
because they have appreciated everything that they've got, right? The mystic would say the more tightly you grasp the water, the faster it slips away. How cool is that, hey?
Yeah, it's brilliant, right? It's brilliant. Um, look, yeah, like let go and clarity comes not by effort, but by allowance.
So, what happens when you begin to see clearly? When the veil finally lifts?
Well, at first, like any change, it can be disorienting. You realize how much of your life was built on autopilot, habits, roles, identities. But after the discomfort passes, something beautiful emerges neutrality. You stop being the actor and you become the observer.
One of the names or what they call angels?
No, what's that?
Observers, watchers.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they just watch. They don't do anything. They just watch and observe.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. And they're higher beings, aren't they?
Yeah,
How,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. And the observer, which is a human observer, okay, becomes the observer, cannot suffer the illusion because he or she knows the illusion is at play. That's the secret of awakening. You still feel the waves, but you know you are not the sea.
That's it. That's it. You start living consciously, choosing, not reacting, responding, not reacting. And that's where peace and purpose and power converge.
Man, one of my friends, I used to say it too, but I stopped doing it. And he'll call me and go, "Man, the traffic sucks." And then he will get triggered by the traffic because it's like, "Oh my God, the traffic is here." I'm like, number one, you should try Philippines. You know,
Yeah,
yeah.
you do not know traffic till being there.
Until being that, right? Number two, you are the traffic, right? You know,
Yeah, you're part of it,
you're
pal.
part of it, right? You are the traffic. There's traffic because you're in it. Yeah. Anyway, that and that, my friends, is mastery. Yeah. Not to escape the illusion, but to dance within it with wide eyes open. And guess what? Some people will call you crazy because you're
Yeah,
just
they
so
will.
awake. You're
Yeah,
like,
they will.
yeah, they will call you crazy. I was like, isn't this bothering you? How come you're not triggered by this and that and this? Another one is, come on, man, you got to choose a side. It's like, no,
Ah,
I don't want to, you know?
yeah, yeah. That's you got to choose a side. That's one of my least favorite things to say.
Yeah. So, Jono, mate, what is your what are good words and your final words here in this episode?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this. So when you finally realize that your mind lies, you don't get angry at it, you get curious. Because the mind isn't trying to deceive you, it's trying to protect you. It learned fear from the past, shame from rejection, and control from uncertainty. Every story it tells you, I'm not good enough, it's too late, I'll never change, whatever story you're running, all of them were defense mechanisms that once kept you safe. But safety is not freedom. At some point, the very walls that protect you become the prison that traps you. That's when you've got to step beyond thought, beyond belief, beyond the familiar. You breathe, you question, you see. And slowly that fog clears. You start to notice the small miracles, the breath, the sunrise, the laughter, the silence. And in that stillness, truth appears. Not just as an idea, but as presence. You realize that awareness is who you are, not the thoughts, not the roles, not the fears, but the awareness behind them. I'm going to say that again. You realize that the awareness is who you are. The awareness, not the thoughts, not the roles, not the fears, but the awareness behind them. And from that awareness, clarity is natural. You stop chasing what's missing and start creating what's true. So tonight, I invite you to pause. Notice your next thought. Ask it gently. Are you real or are you a story? Because every time you ask that question, you take one step closer to the truth. And when you live in the truth, you stop needing to escape your mind. You start leading it. This is the Mindset Channel, where ancient wisdom meets the modern mindset. And if you take nothing else from this episode, remember this: the mind lies to protect you, but awareness will set you free.
If you found this video useful, click on the subscribe button and click the bell icon down there so you'll be notified next time we have a new video. And if you really think that one of your friends can really benefit from this, please share this video with them. Once again, this is Crom.
And this is Jono.
We'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.
Thanks for coming, everyone. See you next week. Bye-bye.